Place them inside the rubber. Pull down, then use your thumbs to pry with. Right. And sometimes this is not tight enough that you even have to do that, but that'll help. It'll hold pretty good. How many rubbers do you put? Put enough that this sucker is not going to move when you go to pressing it. If it does, you got a tiger that looks really bad. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You hold. We're going to try this one. This is. You say you're going to put that little bitty rubber on this great big mold. Yes. Hold that down. Don't let it hit me in the face, child.
You sure?
You got it?
Yes.
I'm going to pull.
Go for it.
That's tight. That's better. Y'all see what I mean? It's got. Needs to be as tight as you can get it. Yeah, it's got westing. This little size is better than the big size. It's much, much tighter. We're going to put another one. Unless you want to do it this time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Then hang on. You got it?
Yep.
Here's your thumbs. Pry. Get your fingers out. Normally, we'll put a rubber this way just to make sure that it, y'all follow what I mean, holds this top. I don't think this thing's going to go anywhere, but we need another little one. Wait a minute. You do it this way. I'll hold it. You hold it. Let's see how good you look. See if she runs. I'm holding. You're holding. Ah, your thumbs work better, don't they? Remember that. Okay. Let's just put more on this thing, just because I think maybe it's a good idea. Put that underneath there. Hang on. Got it? Walk it up.
I'm walking it up.
Are you hanging on?
I'm hanging on, but it's really hard.
Oh, it's really hard. It's too big.
It's not working.
Not the rubber. You didn't hold the rubber
It's
on.
really hard. It's breaking my fingers up.
Breaking my fingers up. Well, just let go. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
You're lucky. By the way, I've had people thought that these rubbers were too big, so they tied a knot in it so it was smaller. You cannot get a knot out of the rubber once you do that. Do not do that. Okay, pull down. Ow, my phone was over there. Look at him. Is that all the way over there? Yeah, that one ain't going anywhere. That's the idea. Guys, to make sure this molds together, it's supposed to be level on the bottom, it's supposed to be fitting. If it's not, then maybe you did not. What are you doing?
Look at it.
Maybe you didn't scrape where you used your wedges to take it apart the first time. You've got to make sure those surfaces are clean or it won't go back together like it's supposed to. I already checked hers. Hers is clean. Okay? Now, what do you do next? Y'all need to get where you can see what I'm doing over here. When you press these things, I guess this doesn't matter. Grab your clay in sort of little pieces. Actually, you need to start way down inside your mold and work your way out, obviously. I mean, why start out here and do a beautiful job on the outside and then you can't even get to the middle on the inside. So start down in there. I'm not going to do that because you can't see what I'm doing. Cannot. Oh, I see my hand. That's cool. It is cool. It's really cool. Look at that. The gold ring and everything. Okay. Anyway, this is probably big enough. If you use too big of pieces, you will trap too much air. You will hit. Bad news. And by the way, you have to press hard. You cannot just pussyfoot around with this thing. You got to be pressing hard. I'm going to do an edge out here so you kind of get an idea of how to finish. After you've started inside there, the procedure is, or what procedure I like to do, is I'll put a piece in there. Let's say I'm right about here. And if this thing's in your way, move it over if you want to. And or then move it back. When we're cutting the final edge, you can prop something underneath it and raise it off the surface of the block. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. But number one, let's say we have an area that is working its way. We're all finished in here and we're working our way out to this edge. So I'm still grabbing clay. And what I do is I usually put this on top of the clay that's in there and then begin to expand it. Y'all see what I mean? Don't put some clay over here and clay over here and then try to fill in the hole. It will not work as well. I'll just say it that way. So I start on top of this guy and I just keep pushing. Excuse me. Start on top of this and I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm also in my own little, I did say little mind, trying to make this clay about 3/8 of an inch thick. For this size mold, it needs to be about as thick as my little finger is, like so. Okay? And how do I know it's that thick? I'm going to get out here to this outside edge. There's all kinds of techniques. And I'm going to go over the edge to make sure I'm there. Eventually, let me take my needle here, excuse me. I'm going to take a needle tool or a tool that I have made in place of a needle tool, and I would stab it. And I would take my finger, rub up against the clay, and I would say, do you see how thick that is? That is exactly perfect. Because that is the kind of guy, okay? That is perfect. That's 3/8 of an inch to a half. That's perfect. What are you laughing about? Okay. Anyway, I would do this ever so often. Where you will make a mess, where you will have trouble. See these edges of where the form is sticking out like that and it causes a little ridge? You do realize when you're running clay across that and you're pressing on it, that's going to be the thinnest place you got. So what you do is you go back eventually and you put a little extra clay right on that ridge so it's as thick as the rest of the thing is thick. Everybody with me? Now, you can use scraper tool. You can use a ribbon tool if you're careful. This actually works a little, this is nice and clean too. clean one actually works better, but you can use one of these. You get it level with the bottom of the mold, and you begin to take this excess off eventually. See right there? That's how thick the foot is on your, what is this, panda bear. Y'all follow what I'm talking about? We need this cleaned off and to be that thick. A lot of people make the mistake of pressing this thing, and they'll press their way out here and it'll be as thick as it's supposed to be. And then right at the last minute, they just roll it down to this edge, like so. And do you see what the problem is? That means you have about that thick or that much clay that's supposed to support the weight of this whole thing. Not good. So don't do that to me, guys. I need you to make sure this foot is as thick as the wall is thick. Does that make sense to you? All right. So eventually, this will sit this way. And what I would recommend on most of your molds, I'm going to move, is get you some blocks, bricks, something. Well, before I take this up, as she's pressing on this, she's going to be pressing always on the piece that is on the table. Because that way you're not pressing against the rubbers, you're pressing against the table. So when you're pressing this side over here, don't press on it like that until you turn the mold up to where you're actually pressing on. See what I mean? You're always pressing down onto the table. This is just common sense, but okay? So, after you get it all done, after you clean this edge up, you're going to turn this little monster up. Remember when I told you it would be nice to make it flat on the top? So, this way, one of the walls will not, if you leave it laying on its side, well, this top wall is liable to sag and fall in. I mean, I don't think it will because it's pretty stiff clay, but it's still liable to fall in more than the other one. So, you turn it upright like this and prop stuff under it if it's not level on top. I've even put them in an upside down stool, something to hold them where they're secure. And then you wait. What do you wait for? You wait for the plaster to pull the moisture out of the clay, make the clay shrink just enough, which is about a 1/16 of an inch or even less. Y'all need to come over here close. Come on close to me. What it will look like when it's ready to come out is there will be a black line like this. You see what I mean? Because it will shrink away from the plaster. It will look like that.
Do we cover it with plastic as it's drying?
If you're not going to take it out till Monday, yes you do, because you need to slow it down some. Because if this thing shrinks too much, it will crack. And then you think, oh Lord, I got to start over. Okay, and yeah, you do. So you're going to slow it down just a little. And when I say put plastic over it, if we were all done, I would do that and I would go home. Meaning, don't put plastic down here. Don't cover the whole thing with plastic. No, we want the plaster to dry. Does that make sense to you? Just slow the air down. It'll slow it down, because these things are still wet enough. I'm not worried about this going too far. If you put plastic over the top.
Should I just wait until Monday so that I can show me how to take it apart?
I would press it now, take it apart Monday, and press another one Monday.
That's what I meant.
That's what I mean. What do you mean?
I was asking.
Do you know what she meant?
If I press it today instead of coming back tomorrow to take it over.
You could check it tomorrow. It may not even be ready tomorrow. Because you take them out when they're ready to be taken out, not before. If you try to do it before, it's kind of like the one that the first one you did. You know how that came out. Don't do that. That was bad. Okay, let's say maybe I could start peeling this out. If this was turning loose, like it was, and this will take hours to get it to that stage. But eventually, it's going to come out just like you put it in there, sweetheart. So, see these little flicks of stuff, plaster and so on? That air compressor will get those off. It's really quick. Blow it off, clean it up. Then there will be some mold marks, what we call mold marks, where the walls came together. You'll have to clean that up. You'll have to rework your surface. And by the way, if you want undercuts now, you want his hiney to have fuzzy on it, you go right ahead and put it on, because we don't have to worry about undercuts or casting. That's done. But as soon as you get it out, you can do whatever you want to with it. That's a long talk. Oops, part of it didn't come out. This was the naughty part, meaning this was no good, because see how thin that is. All right, clean up your mess. I would say you can put this over there in the floor. You can put, once you've got it. Or if nobody wants this table or needs the table, then you can leave it right here, but put something where it won't fall over. This is yours.